have a message for you from Le Notebook. Let's get into it because it's pretty intense. I didn't ask any questions of the guides this time. I just said, what can we tell them? What do we got? And here we are. Here's what we got. The energy field on your planet resembles the idea of the ride at a fair that spins faster and faster, gradually pushing everyone against the outermost walls. And I'm visualizing that ride that's like a circle thing at the fair, and it's called a different thing at every fair, but it's, you go inside and there's seats in the middle, and then there's like an outer band, and then there's against the wall, and you're standing up against the wall, and it uses centrifugal force, and it spins, and everybody gets pushed back, and your face goes like that, the whole thing. Okay, that was literally the visual that I had. All right, so first, everyone is mixed together. Then the force of the circular motion forces each person to choose a place, a position within the contained energy. This is similar to your third density. Some will choose to hold on to the center, fighting the movement outward. Some will allow themselves to fall into the flow of motion after a time, and some began on the outer wall, ready to experience this different state. Once critical mass is achieved, all are in their positions. The choices have been made for the remainder of the ride. And what I got there was the remainder of the ride, meaning if you're using this as a metaphor for Earth and our human life, right? The ride would be our human life. That means that for the remainder of this Earth life, like you can choose if you choose to ride again to be in a different frequency, but it will get to the point where you've made your choice and you're here for the remainder of it, okay? And that's not fear-mongering. That's so silly. When people are in my comments and they're like, that's fear-mongering, I didn't say that 3D was bad. I didn't say 5D was bad. I didn't say you're going to get stuck. What I said was you're going to be making a choice about where you want to go, and you're making a lot of choices actually over a long period of time, and they're going to stack upon each other. It's not like you make a couple of bad choices and all of a sudden you're stuck in 3D. That's not how it is. You only stay in 3D if you're compatible with 3D, so it doesn't seem so terrible because you're compatible with 3D. Does that make sense? And a lot of us are coming from a very human judgment standpoint, and it's not judgmental at all to say that there are two densities. One is not better than the other at all. And I get asked this all the time, and they're like, do you mean one is actually better? No, I don't. I mean, we need all densities in order to move through to the next density. They're like stepping stones. And if you're not quite done with the third density, I love that for you. Stay in there, babe, until you're ready to go on to the next one, because you should. Okay. Now, this is how the final push into separate 3D and 5D states, and remember, D means density, so into separate third density and fifth density states will both look and feel on your planet. The current state of your world is in the part of the experience where you may be able to change positions, but it is becoming increasingly difficult. The energies are separating. They are still mixed to some degree, but the contrast is becoming more defined. It is a result of each of you anchoring in, because that's what happens as that ride goes. You anchor in. Eventually you get to the point whether you're forced to anchor in because you can't physically fight it anymore, or you just choose early on to anchor in. You choose your space and you anchor into that energy, and that's what we're doing vibrationally right now, as we're all learning and growing and expanding and choosing what feels best for us, what feels most correct for our own individual journeys. All right. The energies are separating. They are still mixed to some degree, but the contrast is becoming more defined as a result of each of you anchoring in. Many are learning to anchor in to better feeling energy, thus moving toward that outer wall, and many are anchoring in to what they have always known. Those who are allowing themselves to expand will find themselves on the outer wall, and those who are choosing contraction are anchoring in the center despite it becoming more difficult to do so. It is the contrast, the extremes you are noticing, that is your energetic proof the 3D and the 5D continue to pull apart. Just before the final split into these two densities of physical Earths, because yes, the Earth will physically separate into two densities. There are multiple densities of lots of things. We have extraterrestrial spaceships literally out all around us in our atmosphere, especially above our atmosphere, but they're existing in different densities, so we can't see it. So these densities exist already. but we're tipping the scales into humanity being able to experience a higher density than what we're at now. We're all in the third density physically. There are some people who are existing spiritually, emotionally, energetically in the fifth density, but still physically in the third density because the earth hasn't split yet into a final form for the fifth density. Okay. Here we go. Just before the final split into these two densities of physical Earths, the contrast will appear so stark it will seem as one is black and the other is white. And they did not mean this literally. It was really just that's what it will feel like that different as white and black is. I kept seeing the yin and yang, like I kept seeing the yin yang symbol in my head. Okay. There will be a brief period, brief was very much emphasized here, a brief period of time where those anchoring in the fifth density and those anchoring in the third density will be of such different frequencies, they will not be able to perceive the other consciously without some assistance from another directly connecting the two. It almost felt like, and I asked them what they meant by that, it felt like somebody is going to have to say, point out, like, look at this person right here, like, look, I need you to look. And sometimes you're going to have to physically touch the other person to even recognize they're in a different density because you're existing more and more kind of in your own world, in your own universes. Okay. This space, this brief time period, this space is the final breath before the split becomes physical. That then becomes the point where the ride must finish before you can move to another layer of the game. That means when the Earth split, there will reach a point where when that split, it will pull and pull and pull, and we're still, like, it's the taffy pulling. Remember we talked about that? And then all of a sudden, pop, and we're not connected anymore at all, right? It's two separate Earths and two separate densities. I mean, they're stacked upon one another because that's how densities be. You know what I'm saying? It's like layers of a cake. Like, they're literally stacked, but they have to separate. So you have the fifth density from the third. We're creating it now with our energy. Okay. And then once that happens, if you're in third, you're in third for the rest of this incarnation. If you're in fifth, you're in fifth for the rest of this incarnation. That's just how it goes. That's not a judgment. It's not a punishment. If you feel like it's a punishment, I would gently suggest that perhaps we look at our religious trauma that many of us have on this planet, because there's no judgment about this. There is judgment in religion and the rapture and all that, but anyway, they took these concepts from spirituality. It's a whole thing. I'm going to answer some common questions that I always get when I talk about this split into 3D, 5D. Where is the 4D? 4D is non-physical. There's a fourth density, but it's non-physical. Every other one is physical. So third is physical, fourth is non-physical, fifth is physical, sixth is non-physical. So the 4D we're moving through energetically, but we can't move through physically because it's a non-physical space. Okay. When is the split? I don't know. And if somebody gives you a date, girl, they're lying. They're lying to you. They're just making it up, right? And there's a lot of energy happening on social media where one person will say something and a whole bunch of people will just copy them and nobody's actually channeling anything. So you have to use your own intuition to tap into stuff to say, hey, does this feel right? Does it feel real? And tap into people's energy too. Like, tap into my energy, tap into somebody else's energy when they're telling you these things and say, does this feel real? Does this feel like a bunch of hooey, right? This is how you practice using your own intuition, and you get stronger, you get better with that. Okay, so when is the split? We don't know. I am feeling like it's going to be at 10 years plus out. We still have a lot of steps to go through. We're getting closer, but it's not like you're going to wake up tomorrow, 5D is going to be here. We got a whole bunch of stuff. A whole bunch of people are going to have to get really cool about a whole bunch of stuff really fast before we can go to 5Ds. We got some work to do. It's okay. We have time. What happens to my family? Like, if I'm 5D, my spouse is 3D, what happens to my family? Listen, before the split actually goes boop into separate things, before that even happens, you will have a natural falling away from people who do not match your frequency. We're seeing it already. We are seeing people who are not interested in dating. The divorce rate is a lot higher than it's ever been. People are breaking away from their families. We are seeing this natural falling away already. We've been seeing it for quite some time, and it's going to get more and more rapid as these things come to an end, because you just cannot exist with people who are on such extremely different frequencies than you. It's just too much, and that's okay. If you have more questions about, like, what does this mean? What do you mean it's going to split? What does that look like? Watch the 3D, 5D playlist. Go to my bio link And in my bio link, you will see 3D, 5D playlist. Just scroll down until you get to that. That deep dives into this whole concept, and I promise will answer so many questions. And if it doesn't answer your question, come back here and drop it. Also, let me know how this lands. How does the energy feel for you? Does it feel contrasty? Is it getting really intense? Does it feel good? Does it feel bad? Like, where are we at?